These are ugly rocks. Not much to look at. Probably the only reason you would notice them is if you stubbed your toe on them. But these particular rocks inside have the potential to have all kinds of stone tools. Arrowheads, knife blades, fish hooks, drills, scrapers, axe heads. I'm a flint knapper, so I take rocks like that and I turn them into tools. So the Native Americans did this, and actually all of our ancestors did at one point. Now, the process by which we change ugly rocks into effective functional tools is first we bash off all the ugly outside, and then we take that tough inside, chuck it into the fire for a day or two, and then bash it some more, and then finally pressure flake it into the finished product. If you are being bashed by life and feeling like you're in a fire and being pressured, I have good news for you. It may just be that God is using the exact same process to change you into somebody who is useful and functional for God. How do we get bashed by life? The list goes on and on and on. You get that phone call that you never expected to get in a million years. Your doctor looks across the desk and says, "We got to talk about radiation and chemotherapy." Your wife says, "I'm filing for divorce. I found somebody who's better than you, and I'm moving on." You go to work expecting to have a productive day, and the boss says you need to go ahead and pack up your stuff in a box because you're done. You honk at some guy in traffic, and next thing you know, you're in handcuffs in the back of a police car headed to jail and maybe prison. When life bashes us like that, we have this opportunity to turn to God and say, "I need help. I need to change. I know that there's something wrong, and I need to be somebody different, and I don't know how to do that myself." So you can turn to God, surrender to Him, accept His forgiveness, and He starts the process. Now with rocks, after you bash off the ugly exterior and expose what's inside, the next step is to go into the fire. You take these rocks and you carefully arrange them underneath sand and dirt, and then you build a roaring inferno over the rocks. The heat penetrates through the rocks. If you do everything right, it changes the rocks. It fundamentally transforms them. They become much more workable. They end up having a sharper edge when you break them. Most of the time they will change color. So the fire actually transforms the rock. When you dig them out and start looking at them, they look different. They are different. If you're getting a little nervous at this point, that's reasonable, because you're going to get chucked into the fire. So let's say you got problems with your temper. You will drop your phone in the toilet. The cat will take a poop on your bed. Your wife will back the car into your motorcycle. Like, those things will begin to happen. You'll have an opportunity to depend upon God and handle things differently than you ordinarily would in the fire. Don't ask for patience, because you'll immediately be bombarded with all kinds of situations that will try you. But ultimately, it's an opportunity to learn and change and grow. Let's say you got issues with pride. I guarantee you will end up in situations that will cause humility to grow in your life and pride to begin to decrease. That's what God does. Let me recap. First stage, bashing. Second stage, fire. The third stage with rocks is actually more bashing. But now you have a rock that can be shaped much more efficiently. It breaks cleaner. You have to basically decide exactly where to strike the rock and how hard to hit the rock and what angle to hit the rock at. That's going to shear off big sheets of material and start really shaping this tool into what it's going to be. Now, God knows exactly where to hit you as well. When He's in the business of conforming you to be like Him, He knows exactly where things need to start getting knocked off of your life. Like that ex-girlfriend that you've been kind of staying in contact with, God's going to say it's time to shut that down and move on. You know, maybe it's something that the world doesn't really consider to be bad, like you're spending way too much time and effort with work-related stuff, and your family is hurting because of it. It's time for you to put some boundaries in place and start investing in places that really matter. Maybe it's just you're spending too much time in front of a computer, gaming or doom scrolling, and God lets you know this is something that's going to have to diminish. If you want to be better, there are things you need to leave behind, and God is absolutely willing to shape you to become a useful tool for Him. The final stage is really refinement for rocks. It's called pressure flaking. So what you do is you take a tool and you find the edge of the rock, and then you begin to press with this tool, gradually adding more and more pressure until a flake explodes off of it. If you're making a knife or a spear or something like that, this produces a very, very sharp cutting edge. This is also refinement of the piece, the final shaping, the notches, all the things that make this a usable, finished product. God will also pressure flake us. Stage 4, He will begin to force us into situations that will require us to make a choice to change or not. In this stage, I think there's also a lot of good things that happen. God will begin to help us to understand Scripture better. He will begin to force us into situations to where we have an opportunity to show compassion to somebody who's not very lovable. He will begin to teach us to communicate more effectively to people, the good news. He'll begin to refine us to the point to where we truly begin to love God and love people the way that we were intended to. This is good, but there's still pressure. I mean, He will absolutely, because He loves us, He will continue to put us in situations where we have the choice to change. If you are being clobbered and scorched and pressured by life, I have good news. It might just be that God is in the process of refining you to make you a usable, effective tool for Him. Welcome to Christianity. Have fun.